we're back with another episode. We're recording. Hi, friends.
Yay! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. I am sick.
Maybe.
I'm just, I'm just gonna state that if I sound horsey or raspy, and wow, am I peaking? Let me just turn myself down here. There we go. That's better. Um, if I sound a bit
Thought you
raspy,
sounded wonderful.
Well, thank you, love. I highly appreciate that. But I don't think the viewers who are listening with headphones or earbuds would appreciate me sounding and screaming in their ear.
Yeah,
Um,
probably not.
I am getting over some type of sinus bug. I have a hot cup of cider, which is now not really hot. It's actually kind of warm. Uh,
We've been talking too long.
we
It cooled
have.
down.
We've been we've been talking for a bit, trying to get our thoughts together before we hit the record button, because we got a lot to talk about today, don't we?
Oh yeah. No, and it's a lot of heavy topics. It's not the usual devotion. It's not a video game. Well, we will get back to regular programming. This is just more important because it's what's going on right now. It's current events. It's
Mm-hmm.
happening in January 2026. Um, and everyone is talking about it, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing,
Yep.
yet to be seen. Um, because the more we're focused on one event here, the more that could be happening out of sight over here. And it's always been, stuff that way. And more of a distraction
Yes.
because we
Very.
get caught up reading news articles and reports instead of focusing on what really matters.
We see the small picture and not the whole picture. So, um, there's always been speculation that there's something happens and then something else happens and then the other thing gets forgotten about, and so we just kind of want to bring it all to the table. We're gonna touch basics of just about everything. Um, there is some positive and one kind of silly thing, but the majority of everything that we're going to be talking about is extremely serious. So, where should we start?
Well, I think we have it lined out on our notes that we made. But I wanted to start out by just reading a reminder that I stumbled across today when I was writing a note to my mom. Um, it's in Romans 12. We did not make a slide for this because I'm just going to read it here pretty quick. Romans 12:9, and I don't know if I'm going to finish the chapter or just read a couple verses, but this section is entitled Marks of the True Christian. And here in the last couple weeks, there have been people claiming things that they're not showing the fruit of being a true Christian. So, um, yeah. So verse 9, let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. That goes back to something you said earlier. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by doing so, you will help heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome good with evil. Wow. But overcome evil with good. So again, that was Romans 12, verse 9 to 21.
That's very good reading, and
Very appropriate.
highly encourage you, if you have a Bible or a Bible app on your phone, go read that scripture for yourself. Digest it, meditate on it. Meditate is not normally a word I would use, but sit and think on it
An
and
appropriate
pray over
word.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Not that kind of meditation.
yeah. Um, but on the scripture. Dwelling on scripture has always been a really helpful thing. That I've dwelled on scriptures numerous times. Um, our home church that we attend has a thing that we do called a keynote scripture for every year. And this year, I'd have to find it real quick here.
It's another Romans.
It is another Romans. So, this scripture. Let me get back here enough to find it. Because this is going to take me a second.
I thought you sent me a screenshot of it,
That's what I
but you
was
did
looking.
not.
Yes, I did. I sent
You
you a
did?
I did send you a screenshot. I just have to find it.
Oh, there it is. It's Romans 8, verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
So with that, and I don't have that paper with me, but they gave this paper of the statement of I am a child of God and sickness can't stay,
I
sickness
have
can't
that
hurt
too.
me, and it's it's really encouraging to have it and to repeat that and recite that back to myself. Earlier this week, and when I mean earlier this week, I mean Sunday night, my husband and I, we went 2 hours north because I had a doctor's appointment Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And before we left at church, I had the congregation pray over me for healing from the tip of my head to the tips of my toes. And it was just so nice to have that warm, flooding moment of people agreeing with me in prayer that whatever this issue is nothing and that it is just gone. And I get into the doctor's office and we're talking, and he said, on your MRI, I see nothing that is going to require surgery, which was such a relief because that was the big thing on my brain. It's like, this is going to have me go into surgery, and this has turned into something so much bigger than I thought it was.
Well, when your local doctor sends you out of town to a bigger hospital, it's
Yeah,
always a thought.
it is.
Something is wrong. Something is strange. So,
So,
it's nice to
it's
get that other opinion that
it is. But at the same time, it was kind of a waste because I stressed over trying to find a hotel and I got gypped out of $221. Thanks,
oh
Expedia.
jeez.
So I get to have a lovely phone call with them later.
Yeah, I
And
just got my hotel stuff fixed from
oh, good.
my hotel rebooking. Yeah, I
Oh,
called them.
good. So, but no, Expedia apparently told the hotel that a full refund was being issued. No, you decided to give me a hotel voucher. I want my money back.
Ooh, yeah,
So, they'll be getting a phone call from me later. So,
for sure.
anyway, moving on.
Yes. Okay, so
Mm,
one of the topics that we want to go over and just kind of address and share our feelings on, which we should not act through feelings and emotions. We should
no.
act through common sense and our educated brains. Because that's what we've grown up for, is to have educated brains.
Yes.
Um, so the Iranian conflict, um,
Yes.
that is going on. So I don't have all the names in front of me, but their supreme ruler, the leader of Iran at the moment, I can't remember. Did we look when he took over? We should have put all these details in here,
I
but we
will
did not.
get that together. Hang on.
Oh, okay, cool. You look that up while I go over this. So,
Excuse me,
the
I'm so sorry.
rude, um, the current government that is in control of Iran is basically they run hand in hand with a lot of other Islamic terrorist groups over there in the Middle East. And they have been helping to fund a lot of these organizations. And because their money has been running out, they've been taking their people's money, and now their people are starving, and it's impossible to get what you need. And they're basically their economy is collapsing, their leadership is falling apart. Um, last week when the United States was threatening to send military. I was watching some news reports, and they literally had a picture of one of the commanders, one of the leaders, on a plane in like economy class because they couldn't afford to have a higher costing plane ticket, just trying to run away from the problem that they created. They're not there for their people; they're there for the profits, um, and furthering their belief system, which is tyrannical. You know, but the U.S. has threatened to step in. They have been killing their protesters in the streets.
Mhm.
They have arrested people. They were hanging and executing and beheading people. Um, I heard a very eloquent debater. Um, he was arguing Islam and and something to do with Israel and Hamas and all these other and Islam is the only religion that takes pride in beheading people as a form of punishment. Um, and so yeah, so the people are dying. Some of the civil rights groups in Iran that are able to get information out have reported that there's over 4,000 people dead or unaccounted for, whereas some Iranian sources, like the doctors, the people that are there on the ground, are saying that it's probably closer or way above 16,000 people have been killed. This is a genocide
Mhm.
um, of a country that, you know, used to be Arab, not Islam,
Yes.
Arab. And when this current regime took over, they forced people to follow their laws. And if they don't follow the laws, they get killed. Like, that's here in the United States, you know, you may face some fines for not paying your taxes. You might get arrested. You're not going to be killed.
Mhm.
Um, it just, it's so infuriating. But the Iranian government has done an internet blackout, which is why so little information is coming out. A lot of the videos that you see on news stations are old videos. Um, some of them are videos that have been leaked from people that have been able to get service through Starlink and other areas like that. So it's just heartbreaking to see
Mhm.
this country falling apart, and they're asking for assistance. The United States, President Trump is willing to step in. He's prepared. Our forces are getting into position. A lot of the countries, our ally over there, Israel,
Mhm.
they have said they will back us in whatever we decide to go forward with. But they did tell us to hold off, to pause, because the apparently the reports of the killing had slowed. There were like 800 people that were going to be hung that they did not execute them, and that was because we're threatening to attack them. Um, and I believe that Israel told us not to do it, not because they don't want us to do it, is because they want to be ready. They want to be ready to have our back, to defend their own people, and to help defend the innocent Iranians that are caught in the crossfire at this point.
Yes. Um, I believe, from what I'm remembering when we first started doing some research on this topic, that
I feel like it's the
reasons.
80s.
So in where is it? In 1980, Iraq invaded Iran, sparking the 8-year-long Iran-Iraq War, which ended in a stalemate. So that's when Iraq invaded, and the Islamic Republic became more of a thing. I believe I'm looking this up as I go. So
Yeah, the current supreme leader, Ayatollah,
Ayatollah.
um, yeah, he's been in charge since 1989. So as long as I've been alive, this man has been in charge of this country. Um, so right now, the Iranian people, the people that are protesting for Iran, in other countries, they are wanting to put in place the former family that had ruled. They had a king, King Pavlov. I'm getting that wrong. Um,
I'm looking.
do, 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 do.
I'm looking on the worst site possible.
Oh, Pahlavi.
Pahlavi.
Reza Pahlavi. The Shah of Iran. Um, so, yeah, Pahlavi is the son. Yeah, so Reza Pahlavi um, is next in line, basically, and the people want him back as ruler. And he has even said, like, there's plans in place if the United States were to go in, kind of like we did in Venezuela. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yep.
If we go in, help take down the current corrupt regime that is currently crumbling on its own volition, that if Pahlavi is put into the place of leadership, that he is willing to work on relations with Israel. They were friends with Israel once. And Israel is like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's be friends. Let's figure this out and create peace, because they've always been about peace. And that they would, he has stated that he would be grateful if the United States would help. Because we are kind of one of the top world powers. We have the gun power and manpower, and a lot of the technology to kind of go in. And unfortunately, going in and knocking out a an Islamic regime is difficult. We saw that with Afghanistan and
Yep.
Iraq.
It's
Saddam Hussein and the other guy.
it's gonna lead to
Because they like digging holes, and they're snakes. They hide in the holes, and then
it's
we gotta
gonna
find
lead
them.
to another war. The Islamic group in the Islamic regime, because this is I like using the word regime.
Yeah.
The reason why these protests originally started was because of how economically the country was crashing.
Oh yeah. No,
And
I think we're on day 23, and it was originally started by shopkeepers. It was started by the working class because they couldn't afford anything, their supplies weren't coming in. The government has basically been draining and bleeding their people out.
and in return taking that money and funding terrorist groups
Terrorist groups. Figure.
like Hamas that opened
And
fire.
ISIS. And yeah.
So, as you
Hezbollah. There's
there's
so many different groups.
so many different groups out there, which is why I'm coming with the statement of pray for the innocent people of Iran.
Hmm.
These innocent people who just want their life back, they want their freedom, and they're being killed for it. I've heard
Yep.
this young girl, I never got her name. Her father's part of the higher ups of the regime.
Is it the Fatima?
It
It
possibly is
was on like a
Fatima.
radio, or
Yeah.
like she called in and she was just distraught. I did watch that, and I mean, it was hard to listen to. A lot of people in the comments, oh, this is AI, this is AI, but it's like you can
No,
hear
you can
AI
hear the
cannot mimic
distress.
human pain and
Yeah.
emotion, and saying that, the females in Islam are not treated well at
No.
all. She had gone to a protest and had been arrested with her friends, and her friends were raped, and she was released because she was a commander's daughter.
And
So, yeah, it's just it's
my
horrible.
I'm sitting here, I'm listening to that whole thing. I'm watching this video of this radio broadcast, and the thing that sticks out to me from that entire thing is she's not just begging for outside help from America or anybody willing to help. She was begging help from the King of Kings. And if you know who I am and you know who Nat
So,
is, you know who she's begging help from.
no, unfortunately not.
I beg to differ,
You
but what do
you
you
ho
believe?
so you hope. But Pahlavi's title is King of Kings, not capital K, lowercase k. The show that I watched it being
Mm.
played on, they would pause it and he would translate and confirm the subtitles. And there were some discrepancies in the subtitles; they weren't exactly accurate. But he was translating it from Iranian,
Mhm.
or Arabic. I guess they speak Arabic. Um, but no, she was not calling for God's help
I
or
I
from
I
Jesus.
think
She
anybody
she
in
was calling for the prince,
well,
because that was his title.
that's his title. And I see that perspective, and you are probably right, but I believe that when you get desperate enough, you're gonna pray to God, whether it's the God or a God that you believe in, you're gonna pray. 'Cause I mean, I'm at that point. I'm gonna be praying for Iran because this is
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
terrible for these
No,
people.
there's been a lot of, yeah, the term King of Kings was used to describe the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who ruled from 1941 to the overthrow in 1979. And so because the new Reza Pahlavi is next in line, he would be considered the King of Kings. But for us, it's Christianity. But I
Yeah.
have heard there are so many people that are tired of the Islamic faith over there.
Yeah.
There are so many convictions and people converting to Christianity over there right now because they are being convicted and they
Mhm.
are feeling hope from a God that is not theirs, that they had not claimed before, but he had claimed them.
Mhm.
Um, and there are, like, a lot of Muslims will have dreams with someone robed in white. And there's a lot of stories coming out right now from people that have been converting. And if you're a Christian in Iran, you will die. They will
Yep.
kill you. And these people are not afraid to die at this point because their government is failing them already. So why not seek another hope that is
Mhm.
not about violence, that is not about killing your own if they stand against you? You know, it just, I have feels. Yeah. So there's it's a volatile situation over there, and we don't know when the government, the United States will act. I am hoping they do step in and help because we have the resources to do it.
We do.
Um,
We
and,
do. And
a lot of people are going to say it's not our problem, it's not our war. But if we let it get bad,
well, and that's the thing, because all of the things that I've heard about, the U.S. is about to step in, and I have heard other countries telling the U.S. don't do that, and I'm about to tell them you can decide to stay out of it, but
when when your
we're gonna
house is
dirty our
on fire,
hands.
you're gonna put it out. And
Yeah.
right now, the house is on fire. And if it's not put out, it's gonna crumble, and squatters are gonna come in. All of those terrorist organizations. That's the plan. They want to eradicate the
Mhm.
common people, and they want to bring in all of the terrorist organizations and train up little boot camps of ninjas that are
And
gonna go and kill people because
and
that's what the groups do,
having that
and
much
infiltrate, and kind of what we're
having
seeing here
that
in the U.S. right
having
now.
that much evil in one spot is just asking for trouble.
Yeah, it's gonna burn a hole in the map.
It's yeah, yeah, and at that point I'm going to
No,
be praying for all the
no
countries around it.
offense. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but I know people are not going to agree with me, and I feel like this is kind of a hot take, but this
It's
is
all hot take.
this is where I stand on it.
Yep.
And my thoughts and my prayers go out to the Iranian people who just want their freedom back and want their life back.
They just want to be able to live life
Because
normally.
but before this whole Islamic regime came in, women were allowed to wear comfortable
Walk around like
clothes
normal.
and not have to cover their hair and their faces and just be people. And now with the Islamic regime in there and Shahara,
I
Sharia,
don't know.
Sharia law in place, um, women have
Like,
lost all rights over there.
Oh yeah. No, in
Oh,
Islam women don't have any rights.
no, they don't. And it's like
And we can go into all
I'm
of
gonna
that
be
later.
honest, I'm pretty thankful and very blessed to have the rights that I have to even
Correct.
voice my opinion publicly on the internet.
Yep.
So,
Everyone got an opinion. And here
yes.
in the United States, we have the freedom to share it. Now, there may be backlash to that opinion, which I personally have seen in some of the other topics we're going to go into.
Yep.
Um, and it hurts, but at the same time, if my friends on Facebook had an opinion and shared it with me, I'm not going to attack them for it. I may see less of their news feed, but I'm not
Mhm.
going to come after them.
I I
Whereas
had
over there, you get an opinion and you get a bullet in your head.
Yep.
I mean, that's just, yeah.
I have a couple of friends that don't agree with me politically. And I have an uncle that I've been strictly told growing up, don't talk about politics, don't talk about Jesus. And if he ever gets a whim on listening to this, never know if he will or not. Um, know that I love you, but your recent post about Donald Trump is a very clear, far thought and opinion. And I know there are people of the Republican Party who could say the same thing about a Democrat that's been in office.
Oh, yeah.
However,
No,
this is your post, specifically your post, reminds me on why I don't have faith in humanity, because putting faith in humanity will lead me down a broken road and a broken path. Therefore, my
because the
faith will
world is
stay
broken.
in God and Christ, so I will follow the narrow path to what is righteous and what is right.
Yep.
That's all I have to say on that.
All right. Shall we move on to the next point?
Let's move on to the next point, because if we don't, I'm going to sit here and go on a ramble.
Yeah, let's not do that yet. That's coming up. We're going to have lots of commentary coming up.
And again, I want to apologize to anybody if you hear me coughing. I am trying my best to mute my mic before I go into a coughing fit.
So far, it's been excellent. So do you want me to go ahead and start covering since my voice is fine?
I'm going to let you take lead on this one, dear.
Okay. So on January 3rd, the president of Venezuela and his wife were taken from their homes by U.S. forces. So, if you didn't know that, surprise! Venezuela doesn't currently they have an acting, like an interim president, but they don't have
Current.
a permanent.
Elected.
Not elect, that's the word, because it's like, no,
Elected.
that's not supposed to be a permanent position. Um, so the Maduro, the former president of Venezuela, um, basically was turning it into a dictatorship. He has been linked to a lot of illegal activity, funding terrorist groups. Drug trafficking is the biggest one, and that is one of the reasons why we went in to take him out. So when news came out of the capture, there were celebrations in the streets, parades of Venezuelan immigrants here in the United States celebrating that their country was finally going to potentially see freedom and peace. Um,
Freedom!
right. So these are immigrants that had sought a safer life here. They had felt threatened. They came as seeking asylum, and we, of course, going through the proper due process, allowed them access into the country to better their lives. A lot of these people, they didn't know if their loved ones were still alive because they were killing people in the streets,
Mm-hmm.
just like what we're seeing in Iran. Maybe not to the same extent, but it was still happening. Um, but Maduro faces drug trafficking charges and narco terrorism, are what the U.S. is formally charging him of. But I think the most beautiful thing about this event, um, it happened overnight. They basically arrested him and his wife in their pajamas, and
They
then
did.
brought them to the United States.
They did.
Um, Yeah, so there were no United State U.S. casualties. We did bomb a couple military bases, and I believe that was just to kind of cripple their military, so they could not retaliate. Um, so I'm not sure what kind of casualties in Venezuela there were, but it was not the innocent people. Like they were
I
very
don't
specific on where they targeted.
I don't know if there were casualties from that.
Well, I don't like any people in those bases. I'm not sure. Who knows?
I'll
Someone
look.
does, but you be the Google detective.
I'll do that.
Um, so their economy, just like Iran's, was collapsing. So the government was mismanaging funds. There was deep-rooted corruption, over reliance on their oil, which they do have a large oil supply, and a lot of people are speculating, "Oh, Trump just wants to take the oil," and it's like there are good deals that we can make with the Venezuelan people to help further their economy through trade of their oil. We don't want to just take over the country and say, this is America now, and we are taking this as ours. That's not what is happening. We are going to benefit their economy by being a partner for their oil instead of them sending their oil to the Middle East to fund terrorist groups. So, go back to the notes. Hyperinflation from excessive money printing. So they were lessening the value of their currency, which I think is what has happened in Iran as well.
Uh-huh.
So we're just seeing this kind of mirrored on both continents. Nationalizations. I don't know what that means. Price controls and declining oil production. So they were not focusing on keeping their economy afloat, all exacerbated by U.S. sanctions. They're trying to blame the U.S. for those problems, leading to severe shortages, economic contractions, and a humanitarian crisis with mass emigration. So that's all the people trying to escape their own country to get away from the tyranny and the murder. Oh, there's that. Government policies and corruption, the nationalization and price controls, which we mentioned. CJ did such a great job with these notes. Um,
Thanks.
and we went through and we did these last week, so some
Mhm.
of our stuff might be a little off. But we've been trying to keep up with it as the week has progressed and as things have changed. But Venezuela, everything is kind of settling out right now.
Mhm.
But they were expropriating private property and imposing price controls that were stifling private enterprise and economic freedom. So they were basically taking over their own market, which does not allow for economic growth or anything like that. Excessive spending. They spent oil revenues lavishly without building up reserves, which meant that the nation was indebted when oil prices dropped. Um, and then the corruption, the widespread corruption. Yeah, basically a lot of things that the government did wrong led to its collapse and its people were suffering. And of course, Venezuela, I don't know the statistics on this. I'm being stared at by a cat because I moved my leg. Um uh I know they are a huge source of a lot of the narcotics that have been coming up. They would send boats across the Gulf to get to America to drop off cocaine and stuff like that in Florida and along the Gulf. So hopefully, removing the head of the snake will kill the snake, and then those drugs that were being produced down there will disappear and no longer flood the streets of the US. That I mean, the drug problem here is terrible.
Absolutely. This is
Probably
coming
because
from
we have so many freedoms. Like,
this is coming from somebody who lives um 2 hours south of St. Louis and 2 hours north of Memphis, Tennessee. Um, the drug trafficking just through this area alone is absolutely terrible. There's
I
a
mean,
reason why I don't like being by the highway for too long.
you you know the county just north of you guys. I know in high school we used to call it the meth capital of the world,
Oh,
and it was
lovely.
reported as, yeah, no, and that's backyard drugs. That's not even imported smuggled drugs like you see a lot in border states. Um, but I mean, they traffic stuff everywhere. Like I really get into watching the seized at the border shows It's always interesting to see how smart they think they are trying to smuggle it across. And unfortunately,
Yeah,
things still get by, but they do catch so many drugs,
they
and it's just
really do.
ridiculous. It's like, why?
So,
Where do you have the time?
from what I am able to find, and this is the crazy thing is I can't find a whole lot of information as far as casualties go regarding that bombing. Um, BBC released a article on the 5th of January saying that the Cuban government says that 32 of its nationals were killed during the U.S. operation to seize Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. I don't know how accurate that is.
So I just did a quick Venezuela deaths from U.S. raid. And the top MSN article
Uh,
says that 80 were killed. I guess 80 total? I'm not sure. Killed in U.S. Maduro raid. Cuba confirms 32 dead. Trump
so
says no death on our side. I mean,
and that was another thing that I had seen
there's maybe
was there was
a
no
hundred killed.
no U.S. citizens or military men had died, but they were
Yeah,
injured. So I don't have the proper information to give regarding that, and I don't want to really touch more of it until I've done more research on it.
yeah. No, the couple of the news articles that came out right after the event claim about 100 dead, which, all things considered, for us going in and taking their president, it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, it could have been so
Um,
much worse.
oh my gosh. So, 7 U.S. troops injured while capturing Maduro, is what CNBC says.
So,
But, that's they were I mean, if they were a soldier, if they were serving in the I don't know the military due process, but anyone that was higher up was obviously doing it because they were greedy and they were taking it out on their own people and did not have the moral standing to say no
mhm,
or to step in and do what was right. Because what had happened is Maduro had they did an election and Maduro basically like I think he killed the opposition. I
I don't
can't
know if he
remember.
killed the opposition or if he rigged it.
Well, there's a little bit of
I mean,
everything in
there's
that.
there's a possibility. Like I'd have to again do more research because I haven't done the research into their election, and that is on me. I should have done that. So
Well, there's a lot of information that we, you know,
that we don't have that we could easily get. So,
yep. It
anywho,
just takes digging and finding the right sources
what
because not
part
all the sources that you see are correct.
what part on Venezuela are we on, or did we finish all of Venezuela?
I think we are done with Venezuela. So, what is happening right now? The United States is basically stabilizing the country. The plan is to get it stabilized
Mhm.
and then gradually switch over to their own power and resources and having the correct person in charge. So they're going to do an election. They're going to go back to the democracy that they had before all the corruption. Um, and yeah, so that's the plan. The United States is not going to hold them as a territory. We
Right.
are going to turn them loose, but right now they need someone to kind of keep it stable while things settle and we get their economy back up and
So
going.
I I do want to add that it was so good to see all of these people who had left Venezuela to see them so happy that Maduro was captured.
Oh yeah, no, they seeing the celebrations in the street and the people crying and hugging each other and um that they might actually be able to get in contact with family that they left
that
behind. A lot of those
may that
people,
they thought may be dead. They may still be
right,
alive.
right.
So, and
And
that's
they have the chance of getting to go back and visit their home country or even
yeah.
move back to their country.
Yeah. Oh, that's
This is
incredible.
giving them so many more options
Oh, what's
that they didn't have before because they didn't want to go back. It was death.
what bothered me, and I know you've seen it, and probably you listening have seen it, is a particular group of people in the US want Maduro's freedom because how dare we invade a country? I'm sorry. I think you need to go talk to somebody from that country.
Right.
Please go
Because they were
talk.
invaded from the inside.
Go talk to somebody from that country and learn something. If that's all that you take from this podcast, go talk to somebody from that country and learn something. Please.
Ask questions.
Don't
Well,
just jump
and
to
that
assumptions.
that particular group of people that are, begging to release, they don't understand that his stance on views and their lifestyle, they would be dead. Same thing with Iran. They would be dead. Same thing
Um,
with Palestine. They would
um,
be dead. That just
um,
like
I'm
yes.
stepping on the edge of the ice here with this group, and Jesus loves you, and so do I. But some of you are not the sharpest crayon in the box,
No.
and may God continue to protect you from the stupidity around you.
Yep. Give you the convictions to look at yourself.
Moving
Because
on.
we can love you as a human being, but there are actions that we can't condone as Christians, and that's turns into a slippery slope.
Moving on, because this is probably going to be the only transition that we have going into this.
Yes, speaking of ice ice baby. Um Terrible transition. I apologize.
I'm gonna take over here for just a second while you go ahead and just say it. I'm sorry, Jesus, I shouldn't have said that prayer. We're gonna touch a little bit about Minnesota here, and when I mean a little bit, it's probably going to be the next 20 minutes to maybe half hour. I don't know. Um, we're gonna start with specifically with the shooting that had happened, and first off, our condolences and thoughts and prayers are with the victim's family because that's devastating, specifically for that little boy. That little boy now doesn't have anybody but his grandparents. Um, with that, our thoughts and prayers for safety are also with the ICE officer and his family.
Yep.
Actions have consequences. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. We have watched the breakdown footage from the CNN report that came out on January 10th, showing different angles, perspectives, and a 3D digital mapping of the area. From what we have agreed on as co-hosts to this podcast is that the driver of the vehicle was not intentionally trying to hit the one officer, but instead trying to flee from the other officer trying to open her car door. My statement still stands that consequences come with your actions.
Yep. There were a lot of actions that played out that particular day that had they been different, the outcome would have been completely different. And I mean, we lay out the officer could have made different choices. Um, I personally, with my criminal justice background and my understanding of law enforcement, I feel that he was not overstepping his authority by pulling the trigger. Was it a little excessive potentially? Um, if he felt that his life was adequately at risk, he had the right to make that choice and do those actions. Did she have the understanding of what she was doing? Did she know that it would lead to her death? No. She'd probably seen enough people protesting and, causing havoc that, oh, I'm just going to get out of this. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that's not what happened.
So,
Um,
with what a lot of people who go to protests and riots and do things with their vehicle, everybody makes that same assumption. Oh, the worst thing that they're going to do is they're going to pull me out of my car. Never make that assumption because you don't know what the person who's trying to get you out of your car is going to do or what they have on them. And that officer, regardless if it is ICE, whether it is Border Patrol, or your local police officer, they don't know what you have in your vehicle. So
They don't know
they're
what you have in your vehicle, and while your vehicle is in drive, it is a deadly weapon.
they are
Like,
going
that's
to do
flat out and simple.
everything that they can to protect themselves while trying their best to safely remove you from the vehicle. Now, from again our statement, we believe that she was not intentionally trying to hit the officer. From what we had seen, the way that she turned that vehicle and sped off made it look like she didn't even see the officer.
Yep. Yeah, and watching, like, there's the whole conspiracy that he was never hit. But you watch it enough times from the different angles, and you can clearly see contact.
Mhm.
Apparently, he did go to the hospital.
Mhm.
We don't know what level of internal bleeding he had. Internal bleeding could just be bruising, it could be an organ puncture.
Right.
But he, uh, as of last week, he had not even returned to work yet. But they're required 3 days. They are required to take at least 3 days off after an incident, a fatal incident, and so he was not going to be back out doing anything. And with how heated this has gotten and how volatile this has gotten,
Mhm.
I don't know if he'll be back working in Minnesota or if he'll go back to his home area.
I don't
And
know.
that's not our choice. That's not what we're here
From
to discuss.
from my understanding, this particular ICE officer, if I've read this correctly, this is not his first encounter with something that could potentially have killed him. I believe his first encounter was with another group of people and he was dragged down the street. And so
Yeah, they were trying to arrest a sex offender, I think.
and
Um,
that's where I'm
Continue.
um it's 8 o'clock. It's time for me to take my medication. Um when I don't know how to word this without sounding so incredibly nasty. But when did the left, and yes, I'm talking to you liberals and I'm talking to you Democrats, because somebody has to. And you're at a point where you don't want to hear anybody because it doesn't match your narrative. But last I checked, Laken Riley didn't ask for any of this. She didn't ask to be dead at the hands of an illegal immigrant who sexually assaulted her. None of these young girls who have lived in this world here in America asked for that. The young girl on the train didn't ask to be stabbed to death by an illegal immigrant.
Yep.
And you want to sit here and protect the illegal immigrant. Let me ask you something. If that was your daughter, if that was your sister, your mother, if any of that was related to you, how would you feel? Oh, no, that's fine. That's what they get. Bull. Baloney. Absolute baloney. You would be terrified. You would be angry. You would want justice brought to them. So how dare you sit there and try to protect these people who are not innocent? They want to come into your homes. They want to hurt you physically and mentally. They want to take things from you that you have worked so hard for, that you have earned, that they have no right to. As an
I
American
think
citizen, not just as a woman, not as a Republican or a Democrat, doesn't matter. But as a woman, I have to stand for what I believe is right. And what is right is these people don't belong here.
I think that's where the line is getting lost for a lot of people. So go ahead and go to the next slide. This is a good point. So in Romans 13, verse 1 through 2, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God, the powers that are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore restraineth or resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, that they resist shall receive to themselves damnation. So everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God. He has put people in place to govern the people. You have the separation of church and state. You have the legal laws, and then you have your religious moral laws. You're trying to skip ahead.
No, I
uh,
clicked out by accident. Sorry.
oh, okay. No worries. I just saw the screen go black. I'm like, no. But you know, there are individuals that are breaking the law through their protests. They're breaking into federal vehicles. They're stealing weapons. They're assaulting officers. They are not following instructions. And even though they're citizens, they're getting detained because they are breaking the law. They are interfering with official business. Um, and, you know, so I shared a post regarding the specific victim's situation and the fact that she shouldn't have been there in the first place. And I got attacked by all the leftists that were on my Facebook page saying that, oh, you got to look out for the immigrants. You got to, yes and no. Um, there is a passage in passages actually in the Old Testament in Deuteronomy and Leviticus. Let me slow down. That discuss, you know, taking care of the sojourner and being kind and showing love. And that's why I read Romans 12 at the very beginning, showing a true Christian, showing love. And the sojourner is basically an immigrant, someone that is traveling or moving into a new area that's not originally from there. But one Bible passage that commands you to love the sojourner does not include a limitless immigration policy. So that does not mean an open border where anyone can come in. There needs to be a due process, which the United States has. Yes, there is a long wait list because there's a lot of people trying to rush the border. But we're allowing people in that do not um, have the same interests for the country that we do. And one of our God well sources that we delve into every week made a statement that they should ask questions. They should figure out the intent, the beliefs. If they don't agree with life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and the freedom of speech, and if they don't agree with that, then they shouldn't be allowed in. That there needs to be order. The role of the state is protect the interests of the people. So having a better laid out policy when bringing immigrants into the country can help them assimilate
Mm-hmm.
because the United States is not an Islamic state. Well, you listen to the Muslims that we've allowed into the country and they want to take over and they want Islam in every home. They're not coming in my home.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
they got to be busting down that door threatening to kill me to get into my home because I'm not letting them in here. And then we got other problems. But if people were willing to assimilate to how our government rules things and
Mm-hmm.
how our freedoms work, um, there would be not a whole lot of conflict.
Nope.
Because then we wouldn't have all the people that, oh, if you do this, you're going to jail. If you do this, you're going to jail. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. If they break the law, they go to jail and they get kicked out. Like that's how it should be. And a lot of the people, I think they said they had like 2,000 warrants they're wanting to serve for
Mm-hmm.
people in Minneapolis alone. A lot of those people came in during Democratic um, leadership of the country, and they've moved in, and yeah, they're living the American dream. But then this is all spiking because a lot of Minnesota doesn't want to talk about the massive $1 trillion fraud that they have allowed to happen in their state. Daycares that don't have children. What? Like, they're getting government funding. That money could go to someone else. And a lot
Mm.
of them are run by these, you know, there are legal immigrants that are doing it because they have all the legal paperwork, but it's probably benefiting illegal. They're shipping the money out of the country, going to potentially terrorist organizations, and you have lawmakers and people in power that are turning a blind eye to it. They know it's there, they know it's happening, and they're instead, hey, you guys should go out and you should get in the way of these federal officials that are trying to do their job. Like, I have lots of feels about that. And being told that, oh, you're not a Christian because you're not, the weakest, the oppressed. And it's like, you're the ones that are going and standing in the way of these people. And, you know, if someone tries to flee and get out of
Hmm.
being detained, yes, they're going to treat them more harshly than if they had just listened and, you know, obeyed initially. I just
Yeah.
there's a lot of stories coming out about what has been happening, how ICE have been treating. I'm not saying every single ICE agent is in the right with how they treat
No.
people that are in custody.
There are people out there who
They go on a
take
power trip.
they do. They go on a power trip, and there are people out there um in even regular everyday police force that go on a power trip. I've seen videos of it on YouTube and TikTok, and then it it can be a little, it can be too much. I will say that. Um I'm going to stand by my bold statement that I've said. If I've blasted your ears out and you're mad at me about that, I'm sorry for that, but I hope you take what I've said to heart. Um Jesus tells us to love our neighbors, and we
Hmm.
do. We love our neighbors, but we don't have to allow our neighbors to come into our home and take our things and hurt us.
Correct. And turning the other cheek does not mean that you just roll over
Exactly.
and let people take it. Um, when Jesus was leading his disciples to another location, he said, "Take up your cloaks. If you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and get a sword."
Hmm.
Basically, be able to defend yourself because you know
So
he gives us authority to protect our persons.
there is still so much about the shooting that we don't know.
Correct.
Um,
I wish. Well, no, I don't wish I could read minds because that would be a terrible gift.
I would still really like to see the video camera footage of the victim's spouse, because there has to be something on that footage that led up to this. Because I'm seeing more footage come out from other cameras, and not just of the exact shooting, but everything that took place before the shooting.
I mean, that's the big thing to me is it's like, okay, why was she in the middle of the road? Um, it's because the governor or the mayor or whoever had
Mm.
basically told people to go get in the way. There are paid protesters that they make a career out of going around and causing havoc
Yep.
and inciting riots, which is, it's not a protest, it's a riot.
Yeah.
There is garbage in the streets, they're throwing fireworks. This is not a peaceful protest.
No.
The government, the United States Constitution protects peaceful protests. It does not protect riots. And that's exactly what's happening. And so the threat of the Insurrection Act, which hasn't been used since I believe the
Hmm.
80s, um, I believe we should use it. I believe they should put martial law on Minneapolis and other surrounding cities because there are people who are where they shouldn't be,
Yeah.
They have no reason to be there. Oh, I'm going to the dentist. Well, then why are you parked halfway across the street? Like, why are
Yeah.
you honking and blaring your horn? Why are you yelling slurs at people that are just trying to do their job? If someone went into your office and was harassing you like that, would you be able to do your job without getting angry? No. Would you be able to do your job safely? No. Um, you know, they just
Yeah. we
So, we
we
have been instructed to obey the government that God has put in place. There are only two exceptions that we can disobey the government. One, if the government tells you to do something that God forbids,
Yep.
or two, they tell you not to do something that God commands.
Yep.
Those are the only two exceptions. They're not saying, "Oh, all immigrants, oh, we should just kick out all the foreigners, we're going to arrest all of them."
Mm.
No, if you're here legally, you're here legally.
And you know,
And you should abide by our
the
laws. Like,
the
that's.
legal the legal immigrants that came here legally, um yes, I have heard of some of them being arrested and taken in by ICE, but they're released within like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It
No,
just
like if
if you
you
have
listen to
that
the
documentation
commands,
and
if you
follow
listen,
it, you're free to go.
right. No, it's just gotten ridiculous and it's like people have lost their minds. Sunday, and I know you're going to go into this here in a
Oh
minute.
yes.
Sunday, those protesters, because one of the associate pastors of the church has, works for a federal agency. That church was busted into. I don't think the door was locked, so they literally just walked in and they disrupted service. And it's like, what if this was your church? What if this was your school meeting? What if, like, would you feel threatened? Would you feel in danger? Like being, oh, white privilege. What are you doing with that fancy jewelry? And it's like, you work for it. Like, I can have nice things and still bless other people and pray about it. Like, come on. But that was just so disrespectful. And it's like, no wonder people put armed guards at their doors and, they allow people to conceal and carry in the church because they're concerned about people coming in and getting violent and stupid in a sanctuary, a place that's meant for worship and focus on God. Like,
I apologize. Sorry.
you apologizing for?
I thought I caught myself mid cough. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I don't think I was ranting.
You were, and then I went to reach for my mic and you stopped because I thought you caught me mid cough.
No, I was just sighing because I'm frustrated in so
So,
many ways,
so
and
this
there's just a
post,
lot that I cannot verbalize. So
I
go ahead.
I understand. Do we need to just verbalize, or do we need to just bite our tongue like
I
God
think
told
we have
us
to
to?
scream into a pillow sometimes just to get it out.
Yeah, yeah. And
Righteous anger is a thing, and right
it's
now I have righteous anger,
very,
and it
very
just.
big thing. Um, this post that I am going to read just a bit from, I'm not going to read the entire thing, comes from Pastor Rich Bitterman. I'm not sure where he's a pastor from. This stumbled across my Facebook about what had happened on Sunday. And it starts a little farther down. It says, arguments will swirl around that moment. They already have as motives as are weighed and causes defended. Lines drawn and redrawn, yet beneath the debate lies a simpler truth that should sober the church more than any headline. A boundary was tested, and it held only because people inside the room chose how to respond. That is why this moment matters. History teaches that pressure on the church rarely arrives dressed as persecution. It arrives first with intrusion, a disruption here, a rule there, and in instances that worship yield to urgency. In the last century, movements shaped by rigid ideologies often treated the church as a rival authority. Not because hymns threaten tanks, but because prayer forms allegiances that does not bend easily. The earliest signals were seldom dramatic. They were interruptions tolerated, boundaries blurred, sanctuaries repurposed for political theater. Only later did pressure harden into policy. The disruption does not prove grand scheme. One event cannot bear that weight. Yet it serves as a warning flare. It shows how easily a worship service can be seized and turned into a tool for pressure. Warnings like this are gifts that are received while there is still time to prepare. Daniel knew the value of early preparation. By the time we meet him in the sixth chapter of his book, Daniel outlived empires. He entered Babylon as a teenager, and now he stands as an old man beneath a new banner. Babylon has fallen, Medo-Persian administrators fill the halls, fresh laws carry fresh seals, yet Daniel remains. He remains because his life has been shaped by habit. The new king needs order, so 120 officials are appointed. 3 presidents oversee them. Daniel rises above the rest, not through ambition, but through the trust earned the slow way. His accounts balance, his word carries weight, as his hands stay clean. Corruption finds no foothold in him, and that becomes the problem. Integrity obstructs those who want easy gain. Daniel's presence blocks the channel where stolen wealth should flow. His enemies study him and find no weakness in his work. So they look elsewhere. They notice his prayers. They understand something crucial. Daniel's faithfulness to the king grows out of his faithfulness to God. His kneeling shapes his standing. Removing the kneeling, and the standing collapse. The plan to take form with smooth words, a decree that lasts 30 days, a small window, requests directed through the royal authority. Worship is allowed, provided it bends. The law settles into place, an unchangeable custom. Daniel hears the decree. He walks home and climbs the stairs. The window remains open towards Jerusalem. Light spills across the floor, dust hangs in the air, and knees meet wood. Words rise, and he prays as he did before. Now I can continue reading this, but I really think if you're listening, go read the book of Daniel.
Mhm.
Because the book of Daniel and the story of Daniel, and if you really need me to put it more into perspective, the story of Daniel and the lion's den specifically. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den because he continued to pray and his knees met the floor every time, regardless of
Yep.
who was king, no matter who was reigning over the land. And
And that was a situation where the government was saying to do something that God commanded,
mhm,
and he refused to stop.
mhm,
And
and
God blessed him for it
he did. God did bless him. God
so much.
God protected him from these giant animals that could easily swallow him in 2 bites. Two
Maybe a
bites.
couple more than that, but
But I'm gonna jump down here to this part, um, and hopefully this kind of helps put some more things into perspective. This is where St. Paul moment presses the church towards clarity. The positive hidden inside the disruption is alertness. It wakes us while there is still room to choose our habits deliberately. The call is not outrage. Outrage burns energy without building endurance. The call is not retreat. Retreat shrinks worship into something private and fragile. The call is preparation shaped by faithfulness. Preparation often looks unremarkable. It's scripture spoken aloud at service and knees meeting the floors when no one is watching. These practices train believers to stand when standing costs something. Daniel did not discover courage under pressure. Courage found him ready because he had practiced obedience, and that cost felt small. The habit formed at 14 held at 80. The church today stands at a similar threshold. The warning has sounded softly. A sanctuary was interrupted and a service was paused. The question now rests with us. How will we respond before the pressure hardens? The answer requires resolve. Gathering matters, public prayer matters, scripture read aloud matters, singing without embarrassment matters. These acts declare allegiance with shouting, and they shaped souls that do not bend easily. Gathering, Daniel faced his window, Daniel faced his windows towards Jerusalem because promise oriented his prayer. The church must decide where its window faces, towards convenience or to the kingdom that outlasts empires. The course of action emerges from Daniel's example, and that moment we inhabit. Pray at set times, not only when emotion swells. Habits steady the heart. Teach children obedience in small things, because large trials grow from the small refusals practiced over time. Keep worship central and visible. Even when visibility invites scrutiny, prepare calm for disruption by agreeing in advance that prayer will continue. Voices will lower rather than rise, and worship will not surrender its purpose. These actions do not shout, they endure. The protester's interruption reminds us that the church does not control the world's response. It controls its own faithfulness. That faithfulness carries weight precisely because it refuses to perform. Daniel's story ends with the king's passing from the stage and the empire shifting like sand. Daniel continues, the remnant remains. That remains true today. Pressure will come in many forms. Some will roar, others will whisper. The response must be the same: knees on the wood, windows open, prayer steady, courage quiet.
Yep.
There's more to that, just a little bit more to that, but that's the best spot to end that on, because I've faced private battles that I won't go into detail about here, but in this situation, because this line has been crossed, yes, people have a right to protest, but church and state have been separate for so long, for so very long, and there is a particular community that has targeted Christians for so long, and you know the community that I'm talking about, because if you're listening to this and you're part of that community, then you and I should have a conversation, because I'd love to have one with you. But there are people in that community who absolutely hate and belittle and demolish Christians for who they are. And I'm sorry, but if
Yep.
you've put your faith in people that much, then you've put your faith in the wrong thing, and that those some Christian somewhere has done you wrong, because it was never about you having faith in me. It was about you putting your faith in God. And that's the full message that I preach. I never want somebody to try to follow my coattails into heaven. That doesn't work. It
Nope.
doesn't.
We
I'm
can't save you. We can't even save ourselves.
no, I'm gonna show you the best way how to get to heaven. Well, I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Right.
So, knees on the wood.
Well, that was Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. Knees to the wood, be consistent.
Be
Um,
very consistent.
but the role of the state, of the government, is to rule over and protect the people that reside in its borders. The role of the church is to love your neighbor and to care for them.
Hmm.
The government has kind of overstepped into that role, and the church is failing big time on taking care of our neighbors, in my opinion. And unfortunately, there's a lot more topic and discussion on that side of things
Yep.
that I've heard with programs that enable people to do what they do. But we're not getting into that
No.
tonight. So we just
There's two.
got to dig into the word, and if you don't, you're lost.
Um,
because the word is the map
yep.
of how to get to where you want to go.
See, the Bible, um, the word Bible is actually an acronym. It's basic instructions before leaving Earth. It's kind of a big deal. Um, excuse me.
If you're ever in a little pickle, just remember God is a big deal. Um,
Yes, God is a big deal. Um,
Terrible pun. I'm so sorry.
we I want to encourage you if you don't have an app on your phone, there is a Bible app. Is it the U version?
Yeah, you version.
The U version Bible app. You can find it on your Play stores.
It's
Um,
amazing.
your Play Store, your Apple Store. It really is amazing. Um, I get on it every day with different devotionals. They have multiple different devotionals.
Oh, it's bottomless.
Just
Like it's
coming.
ridiculous. It gives
Go ahead.
when you open up the app, it has a verse of the day. So if you just need, you have time to read one verse, it's a good start. Or if you want to look up something, I was looking up healing and prayer passages earlier today. And then those Bible plans are excellent. Cat, why are you trying to eat my shoelace? Cat being cat. Um, but yeah, no, it's great.
Today's
Tell.
verse of the day is First Thessalonians 5:15. And I'm reading this out of the King James version because that's the one that I am more used to. See that none render evil for evil unto any man, but ever follow that which is good, both among yourselves and to all men.
Oh, that's relevant.
That's very relevant to what we've been talking about. Um, I highly recommend that people download this app. This is a free app. The
Mm-hmm.
person who created this app is never going to charge for it. Never. He will never put a price tag on the Bible. He has said that the God's word should always be free to every man. So I
Yep.
recommend download that app. Definitely download that app. Um, I know we've hit a lot of heavy topics. Um, how do we transition to a lighter topic? Let's.
Well, some of you may have heard we are both from Missouri.
Yes.
Um, so the pastor that you were reading from, he's
Yes.
actually down the road from where I'm at.
Hey, that's awesome.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna look this up, and it's like, oh, cool. So anyway, we're both in Missouri, and when all of that chaos in Minnesota was going on, um, apparently crazy things were happening in St. Louis as well, but less humanitarian civil rights kind of thing. More like what the zoo let loose. Except the zoo didn't let him loose.
No, the zoos
Uh,
didn't. The monkeys are still on the loose.
yeah, I was just looking up to see if anything had come of
So
that.
the the thing about the monkeys, nobody knows where these monkeys came from. The city has called off the search for the monkeys. They just stopped looking. They just decided to stop looking. Um, and that is because there's been a whole lot of AI images of where the monkeys are currently at. I think the last one I saw was them at Busch Stadium with the rally
Oh
squirrel and the
no.
goat. But the goat's been captured. Like 2 days after the goat got loose, the goat got captured. So the monkeys are still on the loose. The goat has been captured. The Jumanji game is still unaccounted for. Whoever has decided to
Uh,
start the Jumanji game in St. Louis, just stop, please. Burn the game. Just get rid of the game.
right. We
And
don't
if you're
need
a
no more.
'90s baby, you lost the game.
Here's an amazing AI picture I just scrolled across. It's a picture of the goat and four monkeys in front of the arch,
Exactly.
holding a cell phone, taking a
See,
selfie.
see.
It's like, oh my gosh.
The they
Uh,
the search for the monkeys has stopped. But if you see the monkeys, please report it. If you are in the St. Louis area and you're listening to this, if you see a monkey, please report it. Please. We need the for the sake of the monkeys. It's supposed to get frigid cold, and they're calling for like 3 feet of snow down here in the south. I need you to find the monkeys so we can get the monkeys into the proper habitat. These monkeys are from Africa, man. They don't know Missouri weather.
Yep.
On a
People,
different note,
so
go ahead.
yeah. No, I was gonna say people in Missouri are crazy. We
Mhm.
had to pass laws to keep people from um, owning big cats,
Yep.
and they unfortunately could not get primates on that legislation. I worked with exotic animals, so I have a lot of knowledge on this. So yeah, in the state of Missouri, you can own a primate. I knew somebody that had a spider monkey that should not have had a spider monkey. It was attacked by her dog and became an amputee. Like, it. Why? Like, and that was before I was even working in the exotic animal industry. Like, I questioned the sane reason of owning a monkey because
Good
you
heavens.
don't have. Yeah, they're too smart to be quote unquote pets.
But
But
speaking
anyway,
of animals, some good news has came across my social medias of the giant green sea turtles and pandas are less. They're not an endangered species anymore.
so they've been removed from the highest level of vulnerability. Um, so green sea turtles have been downgraded to least vulnerable. So their population numbers have really come back up. They're actually the largest of the hard-shelled turtles,
Yes.
whereas you have loggerhead and leatherback sea turtles, or no, I think loggerheads are hard-shelled. But the leatherback sea turtles are massive, like
Big.
huge. Um, and then the giant pandas were endangered but are now considered vulnerable, which is kind of the next step down. So the population numbers have gotten up to a point where they're not critically endangered, um,
Yes.
but they're still threatened. So
But it's heading in the right
some
direction.
some countries are doing the right thing. Um, when we were looking up these facts, we had looked at elephants because around the same time there was an elephant that had gone on a rampage, and
Yeah.
seeing the percentage of space they have for their habitat, how much like can't remember if it was elephants or a different animal, but it was like, oh, they only have 17% of their historic range that they used to, and it's like, well, that sucks.
That does
I think
suck.
it was the elephants, um, because the human population has just spread everywhere. And, for those of us here in the US, oh my gosh, a mountain lion in my backyard. Well, they were technically here first. And you just have to, figure out how to live with them. You cannot just go and eradicate because that's going to really harm the rest of the environment.
Yep.
So that's my environmental spiel for today.
So, but that's the good news after all of the hard talk
Oh, yeah.
because that was hard and
Mm-hmm.
my throat feels like it wants to die now.
Oh, well, you should go make some tea and then curl up and go to bed.
That's probably a good idea. Am I going to do that? Probably not.
Yeah, well, I gotta go give a cat medication. Yay!
But we understand that there are going to be people out there who disagree with us and would
And that's
probably try
okay.
to cancel us. I don't even know if
That's
YouTube's
not okay.
actually I don't know if YouTube's actually going to let this video fly, if I'm honest. I'll be
We don't have
surprised.
an. It's all verbal.
It is no,
See
it is verbal, but there were words that were probably thrown that could
trigger words.
might get flagged. Um
Eh,
we'll see how it goes.
we'll see. It's in God's hands. God
So,
controls the AI. It's fine.
he does. Um if you
So
like
yeah, no, having a differing opinion is okay. Like it
yes.
it is perfectly okay to have a differing opinion. And if you want to approach somebody about their differing opinion, have a conversation.
Yes.
Don't just come flying out the gate, guns a-blazing, saying you're wrong, you're bleep, 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 because that happened
Yep.
on my page. And they didn't want to have a discussion. They didn't want to talk about why I felt the way I did, even though I know my views were completely different than theirs. And they unfriended me. And it's like, you know what? We weren't actually friends. We were acquaintances that met through a shared interest.
Yeah.
And if I lose people that I met through that shared interest because of my beliefs and me actually like making a statement publicly about my beliefs, then that might not be the worst thing in the world. So, if you are willing to have a conversation with people about hard topics, do it respectfully. Don't be aggressive about it. Just understand where they're coming from and try to explain where you're coming from so that you can be on equal terms about understanding one another. Because jumping to conclusions and judging someone based on the first sentence of something they shared, um, it's not going to get anyone anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So just show
And
love.
if you're one of those people that think that Jesus would be on the side of the protesters of any type of matter, um, I I really encourage you to pray about that,
Yep.
because there's a lack of discernment there, and I am not one to worry about the splinter in your eye versus the beam in my own, because I know I have issues with discernment. It's something that I've been working on for quite some time. But I do encourage you to definitely pray on and seek guidance on that type of a status and thought. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, on our next episode, we can do a quick recap and see where things are settled.
yep,
Because, you know, a lot changes in a couple days or a
it
week.
it
So,
does. It does. We'll possibly also touch on chapter 3 of our Devo.
yes. No, that is definitely the next episode because it's time to start the year off with a good
a,
devotion.
a case of God-given identity is where we're currently sitting at, and we hope that you come back to listen to that, because that has been an excellent read, and we've highly enjoyed it. So we do hope that you all come back and listen to that.
Yep.
Um, if you disagree with our opinions and our values, um, you have the choice to voice your opinion. You have the choice to voice that in the comment section. Our comment section is open. We're not going to close it during this episode. I don't feel the need to, because
No.
it leads to discussion. If you are
Correct.
somebody who feels
Ask
like,
questions.
ask us
We
questions.
we want to do another Q&A at some point. Ask questions
Yes.
because that was kind of fun.
Yes, the
I
Q&A
spent like
was
3
definitely
hours
fun.
digging into scripture. It
She
was
really did, and it was
well worth
awesome,
the time.
because I was too invested in my job, because I was in a
Yeah,
really
no, that's okay.
struggling place at the time. But things are kind of working out and slowing down with us going into the colder season. So
Good.
I can work a little bit more
Perfect.
on other things. Hooray! So, but keep listening. Come back and follow us. Like and subscribe. Find us on all social medias. We're not very active on Instagram at the moment. That will eventually change. Don't know
You know,
when, but that'll change eventually.
it's still there. Like
Yeah,
it
it's still
exists.
there. Find us on Facebook, because we have a Facebook group and we post updates on there, because I post updates on there because I have access to it.
Yes.
So, but yeah, come find us on social medias. We want to hear from you. If you have a prayer request, feel free to reach out to us in the comment
Please.
section, or
Or private.
if you need to make it more private, find us on Facebook and send us a message on Facebook. And so we can be praying for you, because we love our followers and our listeners and our viewers, because you deserve to be loved. Even if you don't agree with us, we still love you.
Yep.
So,
That's how it works.
well, we're gonna I'm gonna go, because I need to go. I need to go take some more cold medicine.
You do that, and you get to feeling better. All right,
Well,
guys. Well, have a great week,
I hope you all have a
and
wonderful night. Yeah.
just love each other.
Yep. Come back, see us again.
Yep. Bye.
Good night, friends.